Any good stories from the road?
Pipe up.
I wish we'd gotten to see a little bit more out of our punter.
I'm starting to puke.
It makes my stomach hurt.
I thought he was going to die.
I'm starting to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
He's on the probiotics.
Is Georgia playing the 1985 Bears this weekend or what?
A lot of Todd talk.
Rat poison proof.
They're mongoose.
We will not be hunted at the University of Georgia. I can promise you that. The hunting that we do will be done from us going the other direction.
Man, we're coming up on a month until SEC Media Days. Can't wait to hear what Coach Smart has cooked up for us on the slogan department behind that podium in Nashville. I'm Wes Blankenship. This is the Georgia Show. Palmer Toms, Jake Rowe, Rusty Manziel on the call. Fellas, big news bright and early this morning. Dylan Raiola is going to Buford.
Yeah, I broke that from a parking deck in downtown Atlanta. If I ever write a book, I wasn't sure I had signal, so I put the tweet out. I was trying to get in touch with Jake Rowe and barely had any signal. I was down below the studio there in Atlanta and had no signal. So said a little prayer, hit the tweet, waited about a minute it seemed, and once it went through, I knew that it was on then. So didn't want to wait around. I think everybody kind of had some hints this was going to happen, but I just didn't want to touch something like that until he walked in the door at Buford. And he walked in the door at Buford this morning, and probably 3 minutes later we had the tweet out.
And I mean, this is big for, Georgia high school football. It's big for Buford. It's big for Georgia. I mean, it's big for a lot of reasons, but I know a lot of folks are really making a big deal about this whole 4 schools in 4 years. And I don't know that I want to get into all that, but I will say this: 4 schools in 4 years is not created equal across all platforms and players and everything like that. I mean, it's just, sometimes guys move because their families move and they decide not to split it up. They decide not to maintain the status quo and the stability they want to be together as a family. It's one of those deals where, the Raiolas have made it known. They transferred they moved to be near their daughter whenever she went to TCU. This is not just some we're looking for a place to win or we're looking for a place where we don't have to compete. I'm not saying that, that there isn't some moving around and stuff like that, and you should just not take it at all. But I mean, form your own opinion, but this is not one of those situations where a guy's just causing problems everywhere he's been and he's having to go different place to different place running from something.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, this is nothing new. And I think that's what's amusing to me is that this is a big deal. He's a really talented dude, the best in the country at what he does right now. And people are acting like he's the first one to ever do it. And he's a turncoat on his teammates and he's all in for himself. I mean, this is nothing new, guys. I mean, this happened when I was in high school 18 to 30 years ago, it feels like. So that's kind of the interesting part about this equation right now is it because he's the best player? Is it because it's Georgia and things are going Georgia's way right now and all of a sudden Georgia is not the team that you get to look down on and make fun of? I don't know. But it's a big story, and for people in the state of Georgia, sorry if you have to play Buford because it just got a lot harder.
Tua did it. Tua came from Hawaii to
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young with those guys. So, I mean, it's not unprecedented. I think everybody want to try to find an angle. I think Jake Rowe hit it right there. That first move was for his sister. The second move to Arizona, from my understanding, was over some business. His dad had some business ties in that area. So they went there and they come to Georgia. And, it makes sense to me. You don't want to be on a red eye every week. He's got a brother that's a sophomore that's going to be playing at Buford High School as well. So when Dylan transitions to Georgia and you're sitting there in Arizona and to catch a game every week, you got to catch a flight at either 6 a.m. or 1 a.m. out from Scottsdale or Phoenix to Atlanta. Why not? If you have the means, go ahead and move to Georgia, throw down some roots, as his dad told our Chad Simmons, want to throw down some roots in the state of Georgia. And I think it just made sense, to be honest with you.
When you look at, obviously, the Buford targets that are on the table, those chess pieces for Georgia, I spoke with Chad about this earlier today, but I'd like to get y'all's take on it. KJ Bolden is that guy. I mean, we've been talking about him a lot this past week. It seems like Raiola and KJ have a pretty solid relationship that they've already been able to form even when they weren't playing on the same high school football team.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Puglisi is, and Dylan Raiola are both recruiting the same players. They said it at Elite 11 last week. They know they're going to compete at Georgia, but they're not competing in recruiting. They're united. They're trying to get these players. So I can say it now. When I'm in Nashville for the On 3 Elite Series, 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, I'm sitting there and KJ Bolden and Edric Houston come in together for registration. They do all their interviews. They do this and that. I pulled both to the side and said, look, the tape recorder's off. I held my phone up. I said, I'm putting my phone down. I said, are y'all about to get Dylan Raiola? And both of them just started rubbing their hands together and laughing like, you're about to see. So, that's when I kind of knew that, hey, there's some legs to this rumor. And at that point, I found out that week that this thing was leaning very strong that way. So it's not going to hurt whatsoever to have him playing with those guys. And I'm not putting out too much, I guess, inside information. I talked to a source very close to this, and there were some people trying to kind of negative recruit him away from Buford, saying, hey, Buford doesn't throw the ball. Well, their response was, we don't care. We're not chasing stats here. We want to go to a program. We want to go to one of the best programs in the country. We like the area. We want to go to the state of Georgia, and the competitive and the history of that place. That's what attracts us there. So, it's funny how people were trying to negative recruit him. Hey, don't go there. They don't throw the ball. But the Raiolas didn't care. They're not stat chasing. They're trying to play high level football. And I can't get over the dad's quote. He said, look, we're trying to throw down some roots in the state of Georgia.
They pulled a Tommy Lee Jones from The Fugitive. Go ahead, Palmer. Can't hear you, man.
Palmer's got the old
Palmer's miming.
Palmer's in the
I
phone
will
booth.
say this, Rusty hit on the point that I think is probably the most important thing of all this. And